Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Study Byte. In this video we are going to discuss about partitioning clustering. So without any delay, let's get started. First of all, let us know what is meant by partitioning clustering. Partitioning clustering is a method of clustering in which the dataset is divided into a fixed number of clusters or partitions, which means here partitions are nothing but groups. We can say it like clusters, partitions or group. These three are same. Understood? And partitioning clustering is nothing but dividing the dataset into fixed number of groups. That is nothing but as partitioning. The main points in partitioning clustering are each data point belongs to only one cluster. If the data point is present in one cluster, then it should not present in the other cluster. Understood? Which means here data point should not be repeatedly present in many clusters. It should only present in one cluster. Understood? That is the first rule in partitioning clustering, and the second rule is user first selects the number of clusters in advance, which means here in partitioning clustering the clusters that we are going to divide should be selected in advance itself. Understood? Here I have written a condition k less than or equals to n. Here n is nothing but the data points and k is the number of clusters. Here k less than or equals to n, which means we can also have n clusters. In each cluster we can also have single data point, but the cluster should not increase the data points number. Understood? That is partitioning clustering. In partitioning clustering we have two main algorithms. Those are k-means algorithm and k-medoids algorithm. Understood? In this video we will be discussing about k-means algorithm, and in the next video we will be discussing about k-medoids algorithm. Okay, the steps in partitioning clustering are: choose number of clusters k. I've already told, right? We should choose the number of clusters that we are going to divide in advance itself. So that first we will be choosing the number of clusters, and second point we will be selecting cluster centers, which means let us take example that we are having 10 data points here, and from that 10 data points suppose we will be taking 2 clusters. Understood? Now let us take a k value as 2. Okay, we have taken 2, right? So that we are taking 2 data points and we are making them as first cluster center and second cluster center. Understood? And the next step is to categorize the remaining data points in these 2 clusters. Understood? The data points which are nearer to the cluster 1 will be categorized into cluster 1, and the data points that are nearer to cluster 2 are categorized into one cluster. Understood? And this categorization is done using distance formula. That distance formula is Euclidean distance formula. Here I have written the distance formula. Here x0 is the new data point and x1 is the center, and y0 is the new data point and y1 is the center. Understood? And the fourth step is find the nearest cluster for the data point and find new centroid. This is nothing but here after finding the distance from those 2 clusters we will be getting values, right? And from that 2 values we will be selecting the lesser value. Understood? And that new data point will be categorized into that lesser cluster value. Suppose among the values of cluster 1 and cluster 2, suppose we have got less value in cluster 1, then that new data point will belong to that new cluster. Understood? And after we will be finding the centroid for the new data point and the cluster center. Understood? The centroid formula is nothing but x1 plus x0 by 2 comma y1 plus y0 by 2. Understood? And this will be our next cluster value. Understood? And we will be repeating above steps similarly for the remaining data points, and we will be categorizing groups. Understood? This is nothing but the steps in k-means algorithm. Now we will do an example problem, and in that problem you will understand all these steps. K-means algorithm. In this video we will be discussing about k-means algorithm. In the next video we will be discussing about k-medoids algorithm. Okay, k-means is nothing but it is an algorithm. It divides data into k groups so that similar data points will fall into the same group. Here I have taken a problem. From that problem we will be dividing the data points into groups. Okay, this is the table. Here we have x and y values. We have taken 12 data points here. First we choose the number of clusters, right? In this example, we have taken two clusters. Those are 152, 45 and 185, 80. This and this. Okay. And here we have taken two clusters. Adjust with these circles. And this is 152, 45 and this is 185, 80. This is cluster 1, this is cluster 2. Now we should group all these points into this cluster or this cluster. Understood? By using which formula? By using Euclidean's formula. Euclidean's formula is this: root of x0 minus x1 whole square plus y0 minus y1 whole square. First of all, let us take this point 165, 52. First of all, we will be calculating the distance from this second point. Understood? I will be discussing first example and then I will be discussing about remaining data points. In this, we are having the new data point, that is 165, 52. This is new data point and we have two clusters, right? K1 and K2. Those are 152, 45 and 185, 80, right? This is K1 and this is K2. Okay, now this is the Euclidean distance formula: x0 minus x1 whole square plus y0 minus y1 whole square. Now we should calculate the distance between cluster 1 and new data point, and then we should calculate the distance between cluster 2 and new data point. Understood? Now let us take this as x0 and this as y0, x1 and y1. Okay, substitute that values in this: 165 minus 152 whole square plus 52 minus 45 whole square. Understand? Clear up to here? Now 165 minus 152, which gives 13 whole square, plus 52 minus 45, which gives 7 whole square. Understood? Now 13 square is nothing but 169 and 7 square is nothing but 49. Okay, 169 plus 49, 218. Okay, root of 218 is nothing but 14.76. Okay, and the distance from the new data point to cluster 1 is nothing but 14.76. And now we should calculate the distance between the cluster 2 and new data point. Okay, similarly we will be taking now this x1 and this as y1. Okay, substituting them: 165 minus 185 whole square plus 52 minus 80 whole square, and this gives 400 plus 784, and we will be getting 1184. Root of 1184 is 34.4. Okay, now we have got two distances, 34.4 and 14.76. 14.76 is less than 34.4, right? Which means here we have less value in cluster 1. Here cluster 1 is having less value, so we will be considering 165, 52 in cluster 1, that is 152, 45. Now we should find a new centroid for these two data points. Understood? x0 plus x, the centroid formula is x0 plus x1 by 2 and y0 plus y1 by 2. By using this, we will be getting 165 plus 152 by 2 and 52 plus 45 by 2. This gives 158.5 and 74.5. We can write, and this can be written as 159 and 75. Understood? From now on we will be considering this as new center for cluster 1. Understood? This is the process. Here this new data point belongs to cluster 1, and similarly find for cluster 3. See, calculating distance from new data point to cluster 1, we will be getting 30.2. Similarly, calculate distance from 178, 60 to cluster 2. We will be getting 21.19. Here 21.19 is less, right? So that this data point belongs to cluster 2. Understood? After finding We'll be calculating centroid of cluster 2 and this new data point. The formula is x0 plus x1 by 2 comma y0 plus y1 by 2. Understood? This is why I've substituted that data points in this formula, and after calculating we will be getting this. And now the new centroid for cluster 2 is this, and similarly for the fourth data point is 168 comma 48. We will be getting 8.54 and 29.7 as distances, and here 8.54 is less, right? So that this data point belongs to cluster 1. And after finding which cluster the data point belongs to, we will be calculating centroid, right? So that here I have calculated centroid, and the new center for cluster 1 is from now on is 156 comma 47. Similarly, we will be repeating these steps for all the data points. We will be specifying clusters. Here in cluster 1 we will be having these data points, and in cluster 2 we will be having these data points. Here none of the data point is repeating in two clusters. This is k-means clustering. I think you guys understood. If you guys not understood, then comment it down. I'll make another video with another example problem. That's all for today's video. In this video we have discussed about partitioning, clustering, k-means algorithm and an example problem. In the next video we will be discussing about k-Medoid's algorithm and hierarchical clustering. Until then, stay tuned. If you like this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to StudyByte. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next video.